Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Intuitive Conversations. I'm Chantelle.
I'm
And
Tamara.
yes, and today we are talking about the power of intention. There's so much to be said about intention. And I love starting off my day with intention. Just before I even open my eyes, I like to just set an intention for the day because it works so much better for me than a to do list. And even the night before, like when I go to bed, just setting an intention for something I want to resolve during the night or process during the night, or even what I want to do the next day. Very helpful.
Yeah, this topic of intention has come up, I think, in various ways in different podcasts that we've had. And we decided to do a whole podcast on it because whenever we talk about what we want to be about or what we want these conversations to be about, the word empowerment always comes up. And I feel like intention is really about the power and the energy behind something. It's not just about making your to-do list like you said. It's different than a to-do list. It's actually setting your energy behind something, setting something in motion by the power of your will and your intention.
hmm Yeah, it's amazing to me how things just fall into place, or how I'm reminded throughout the day of my, just kind of refocusing because stuff comes up, right? If you have kids or just there's all sorts of distractions that can come up. But when you have that one intention for your day, everything kind of just redirects towards that, and it really just gives you a focus.
Yeah, I think for me, a big part of intention is that it allows you to live in a proactive way. And, we're in a time when we've lost so much control over so many things with COVID going on and all the restrictions and things that are denied to us. Politics has kind of taken some bizarre turns in different ways. It feels like so much is out of our control, but um, and people tend to live reactively. Then you go on social media and see these just horrible conversations, people reacting to each other, people reacting to the news, and I feel like that just creates such a sense of powerlessness, living in reactivity all the time.
Mm,
So, Edgar Casey, the great American clairvoyant, always said one of the first things that you need to do is clarify your intentions. Identify what your highest values are, because that allows you to live from a place of proactivity, where you decide in the moment how you're going to respond instead of reacting. Who do I want
mm,
to be in the world? Who do I want to be today in the world?
hmm Yeah, that's beautiful. I've been into Amanda Flaker's YouTube channel and program lately, and she's all about rising out of the fear paradigms that 2020 has brought us, and rising out of like thinking we need to be in some kind of war, that our side is right and their side is wrong, but just really looking for like the win-win-win for heaven on earth, looking for um like I am enough, you are enough, we are enough, there is enough, like to set that as like a larger intention. It it really helps, looking at the world like that through those lenses rather than through the lenses of the news, or a friend who's afraid. It's we all fall into a fear paradigm sometimes, but it's just nice to have a place where you can kind of step back and go like, what do I really want? And the whole law of attraction idea, where what you pay attention to is what your experience will be. Like, you just get more of that experience. And so if what we want is heaven on earth, like if what we want is to create harmony and peaceful communities and people living with common sense, then we need to really think about that and bring that about and work towards that on a daily basis in little ways.
Yeah, I like to think of the idea of resonance. I
Mm,
mean, the law of attraction is kind of um, the big trend, the hot topic, I guess, in spiritual circles, and how do we harness the power of attraction and all of that. And I think of it as resonance. You know how if you have two guitars in a room and you pluck the string of one guitar, the other string on the other guitar, the matching string, will resonate with it and start vibrating. And it's that idea of, the minute I intentionally decide I'm going to put this kind of a resonance out into the world, I start drawing out that resonance from everything around me. So intention to me is more, it's more than just what's going on in my mind and what I decide I want to do in the world. It's actually setting loose some kind of a resonance that will move out into the world and come back to me. It's this kind of a boomerang effect.
I saw a boomerang in my head before you said
Did you?
boomerang. Yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I have a couple of quotes that I really love about the power of intention. So one of them comes from Goethe, the German poet, who said, "At the moment of commitment, the universe conspires to assist you."
Ooh.
So as soon as you articulate an intention, you're tapping into something larger than yourself and kind of setting in motion things. And this one I love even more. This is William Hutchison Murray, who was a Scottish guy. I think he might have been a climber who climbed Mount Everest, but he says, "Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance which no one could have dreamed would come their way. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now."
Wow. That's
So
awesome. Mm.
it's just I think that the power, and it's funny, I had a little experience of just exactly that yesterday. I had seen on Facebook a few weeks ago this virtual challenge to walk the Camino de
Oh
Santiago, the
yeah.
pilgrim path across Spain, which
Hmm.
many thousands of people walk every year. And it's been for centuries, pilgrims have been following that pathway um, to the cathedral in um, the Cathedral of Santiago. And I've always wanted to walk it. I was going to do it when I turned 50, and that happened to be my oldest son's graduating year. So we did a family trip to commemorate that. And I just have never gotten there. So I saw this thing on Facebook where you could sign up to a virtual challenge for 150 days or 130 days. No, I think it's 150, to walk from wherever you live. And there's an app, and as you walk, you can follow yourself on the map and unlock destinations and get passports, stamps. And um, I had seen it a few weeks ago and thought, oh, isn't that cool? Um, but I never really seriously, I guess I was afraid. I held back, didn't sign up. And then it popped up again yesterday. And I just sort of mentioned it to my husband, and he's like, well, why wouldn't you do it? Just as if, like, why wouldn't you? And
Like
as soon
that's
as he
pretty
said that,
inexpensive for
and
fulfilling your dream
yeah, right.
during COVID.
But the minute he said that, I was terrified because I realized that that idea of commitment, like, well, what if I don't follow through? What if I don't make it? What if, everyone else is going to do this thing and I fall short, or I have such a intense fear of failing, or, not rising up to my own expectations. And then wouldn't you know it, just recently, a pedometer had arrived in the mail for my son who's in special O, and he's not using it. And so Joel just said, well, this is, it's meant to be. The pedometer is here. You saw it in your email. So I signed up and I have my guidebook
Wow.
from when I was going to go. So I'm going to be doing the challenge and following in my guidebook and maybe doing some blogging, and we'll see what happens. But the minute I signed up, it was just this huge rush of I committed to something, and it felt very emotional, and I was like tearing up. And um, I could feel that just the unleashing of an energy that came with saying, "I'm gonna do this thing."
It's awesome. And it's so exciting, like, how far do you have to walk in a day then, like, just average?
About 3 miles a day, just a little
Okay,
touch more than 3 miles a day to get there by July 30th. So,
that's
I've alr
completely doable.
it is, yeah, it's gonna mean a little change to my morning routine where I'm gonna have to get outside and walk first thing. I usually did my meditation, but I'm gonna change a few habits,
Well, a walk
and
can be a meditation.
I think that's part of too of following through with an intention is that it kind of gets you out of the rut. You know, you get into these
Mhm,
grooved patterns of this is how my day unfolds, this is what I do every day. It kind of stagnates, the energy stops flowing freely.
mhm.
And I remember when we were living in Ontario, and I we were struggling financially, and I had tried all kinds of things to find good work, had had lots of interviews, nothing had panned out. And we were just getting further and further into the hole financially. And I finally said to Joel, "Do we need to move back to Manitoba? Like, it just looks like we're not going to make it here." And he said to me, "Do you know all the things that would have to fall in place? You'd have to find a job. I'd have to find a job. We'd have to sell our house. We'd have to find a place in your small town that we could rent for a family of six. And in a small town like Altona, there's not a lot for families of six to rent. But, you know, there was this whole list of things that, and wouldn't you know it, the moment we decided this is what we're going to do, we're going to take steps. And I started applying for jobs and things fell into place. Everything just kind of lined up. And within, I think, and actually what led into that decision was a 30-day challenge I decided to do because nothing was working. It just felt like the energy was completely stuck. And my sister-in-law had said, "Well, why don't you do the 30-day challenge?" And the 30-day challenge is every day you do something you've never done before. You take a different route home from work, or you, I don't know, try a snack or a drink that you've never had before, or you just do something. And so I committed for 30 days to do the 30-day challenge, and I kind of documented it on Facebook and did some really wild and crazy things.
What was some of the crazy things or one?
Oh, running around my house naked 3 times at night. I climbed a silo across the road. We were living out on a farm, so I climbed a silo to the top. It was an abandoned farm, and that was pretty scary. I took my flute into a shopping mall food court and played there.
Wow.
I set up a complaints department at the end of the driveway for people to drop off their complaints and get an inspiring quote. So it was
Oh,
some
I
of it
wanna
was
do
really
that.
fun. Some of it was just little things. I did the Rocky, yeah, if you've seen the movie Rocky where he like drinks the raw eggs before
Okay.
he so I did the raw egg Rocky challenge where I put a raw egg in milk and drank it. And so it was kind of fun, but it was that idea of just loosening up the stuck energy. And I don't think I even made it to the end of the 30 days before I had a job lined up and everything was starting to fall into place. The first people who came to see our house ended up buying it. So, yeah,
You just
that's the
never
power of
know
intention.
how things are going to fall into place once you decide something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's always those voices of doubt when we think, "Oh, I want to do that." And then you're like, "Oh, but this, but this, but this." Right? It
Yeah.
reminds me of Mel Robbins, was it 5 second rule? Or was it 3 second rule? Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Where you just, before you have time to listen to any of those voices, you just get started on
Yeah. That to me is terrifying.
it.
Not even because with my brain, to not allow, you know, even 5 or 7 seconds to contemplate is
Mhm.
absolutely terrifying.
Well, I think different people's personalities work in best in different ways. Studying human design, you see how different personality types are to make their decisions. For me, I'm supposed to wait till I'm emotionally neutral for a big decision versus like spur of the moment, just being like, okay, it's exciting, let's just do it, right? And then later going, what did I just. But I think for some
Yeah,
personality types, that is how they're meant to live, and so not there's no one tool or thing that works for
yeah,
everybody.
yeah. I think a key thing, I was just listening to Wayne Dyer a little bit as I was doing the dishes before this on his Power of Intention book and presentation. And he talked a lot about the idea of, the power of intention isn't just about me and my ego and what I decide to do and thinking that I alone am pushing forward this intention. It's
Mhm.
really, intention is beyond you. It's the idea that there's this force in the universe that you are tapping into when
Like
you have an intent.
co-creating.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Right.
I was watching a few YouTube videos with I'm trying to remember how to pronounce her name, Akane, that child artist. Well, she's now 26. Just some beautiful videos about her, but she sets intentions too, like of what she wants to paint, and she, has different things that she wants to create, and she talks about co-creating with the universe. It's amazing some of the stuff that even as a small child that she really felt that she was co-creating, like when she had an idea that it was like, yeah. And then that reminds me of Elizabeth Gilbert when she talks about the genius. No way.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, synchronicities. For
Yeah,
those listening on the podcast, she just
I
held up
know.
a book by Elizabeth Gilbert called Big Magic.
I have it open right now to a quote. A
Wow, what is
creative
your quote?
a creative life is an amplified life. It's a bigger life, a happier life, an expanded life, and a hell of a lot more interesting life. Life in this manner, continually and stubbornly bringing forth the jewels that are hidden within you, is a fine art in and of itself.
Mm, wow. Yeah, I was remembering her TED talk when she talks about um in the olden days they didn't used to say you are a genius. They used to say you have a genius. Where like people she told the story about like a farmer working out in the field and then just really feeling like this genius was coming over the hilltop and coming towards him, and he wanted to either write or paint or whatever, like as this genius or passed through, that he would get all of the information down before the genius went on his way again, kind of a thing. So
Oh, I love that.
and
Yeah,
she was oh, go ahead.
well, that's just such an important image for someone like me who is an over planner and an overthinker, because that is so ego bound, this idea that I have to have the whole plan figured out and it's got to be fail safe and that I'm not going to fail or look stupid in front of people, embarrass myself, embarrass my family.
Mm,
It's
mhm,
maybe the idea that I'm just going to take this one step forward. Like the Tao
mhm,
says, a journey of 1,000 steps, 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So here I am starting to walk the Camino and I'm taking one step forward, and who knows what that sets in motion.
mm,
So it's the
mhm,
letting go of, I don't need to control this whole thing. And the genius
mhm.
is coming over the hill to meet me. I love that.
Well, I'm visualizing now driving in the dark, like maybe alongside the ocean. I remember doing that where there was so many twists and turns where you couldn't see around the next bend. You could only see where your lights were showing you. You could only see around the next bend. Um, but what else Elizabeth Gilbert was talking about was how she had her first like big hit book, like Eat, Pray, Love, and then people were expecting her to top that, or she was expecting herself to top that, and how that really played some cruel tricks on her ego, when
Yeah.
really like she was just like, well, that wasn't all me who wrote that book, like it was a genius who came through, and maybe the genius will
Yeah.
come again. And I've been seeing a lot of Julia Cameron's like The Artist Way, seeing a lot of her quotes lately about like just write and then see what comes through, like after you've
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
Louis L'Amour writes like, you the water, something about the water doesn't flow till the faucet's turned on, or even the idea of when you turn on your hose outside to water the garden, like first that dirty warm water has to come out before the nice cold clear water comes out. So just start writing or just start painting or just start whatever your project is that,
Yeah.
you feel your soul is excited about doing.
Yeah, if you can think about it as play.
Mm,
I'm just gonna play with this. I'm just gonna experiment. We make the stakes so high.
mhm, exactly, and that's where all of the or so much learning comes from is play and experiment.
Yeah,
And that's the fun of life, really. Why not make everything into like
yeah,
a bit of a game, like this project or this walking thing every morning that you're going to be doing? Like that sounds very much like play, and it's totally your thing to be following along and unlocking stuff. And I mean, it's like I'm almost seeing the hero's journey a bit for you in there.
oh, totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm really excited about it. Um, and I think that idea of play or adventure or just moving down the trail, the hero's journey, without knowing what's coming next.
Mm,
It really opens the way for synchronicities and unexpected things to happen.
mhm,
You know,
mhm.
someone like me who tries too hard to control the outcome, well, you really constrict the movement of the universe to support you in what you're doing. And I mean, how is it that innovations come about, new ideas, new forms of art? They don't
Mhm.
come because somebody's planning everything ahead of time. They come through happy accidents and experiments and play and someone just being open to whatever is new that's going to arise and come through you.
Yeah, so like this or something better is a very popular intention. Yeah, because
Yeah.
like, well, I've been doing a bit of a job hunt lately, and so if I were to go into it saying, "No, I only want jobs in such and such a field," well, then I would have never found the particular job that I actually wanted and had a few interviews for and found like the people that I resonate with and all of that. So we'll just see what the universe has, but it's when you're setting an intention, you kind of have to say this or something better and then just let it go. Just let it go out into the universe. Don't be like so like I don't know what the word for this energy is, just holding on to it. It's not
Yeah,
really a
rigid.
resistance, it's more of a where your body is tense, right?
Yeah,
And they
like a
say
rigidness.
when you want to receive from the universe or co-create with the universe, your body, your actual body needs to feel open, which is the opposite of tense. So
Yeah.
relaxation is key.
Yeah. We in the past have talked about this book, The
Mm,
Circle
mhm,
by Laura Day, which is all about intention and the power of a single intention or a single wish to create something new and move forward. And I just love that idea of kind of the magic circle and stepping into the circle. And the moment you
mm.
step into the circle, you unleash forces that um, who knows where they can take you.
Yeah, I
It's that.
remember reading that book and thinking, wow, all of the studies I've done on like witches, it's all in the book, but she doesn't say the word. And I was like, and it also reminds me of my NLP studies where you like literally like you draw a circle in front of you and step into or put on the suit of Wonder Woman or whatever
Mm,
archetype you want to, channel or embody. It's the same idea. You're
yeah,
calling in those energies to assist you on your path of your
yeah.
intention.
I was thinking a little bit about this topic, the power of intention, in the days coming up to today, and this idea of articulating an intention. And I thought to myself, okay, well, growing up, I grew up on Bible stories. Um, and the how does the whole Bible begin with the creation of the world and the statement of an intention, let there be light.
Hmm.
And I thought about so many creation stories that I know of, and even I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, as most people who know me know. And the Silmarillion, the whole story of Middle Earth and how it was created, happened through music and singing, and that's very common in ancient mythologies. That it's the power of the voice and bringing forward an intention that sets everything into motion, and then all these creative energies just kind of bubble up, and things start taking form and taking shape, and it's just this magic that you can tap into as soon as you are articulating some kind of a clear intention and stepping into that circle of intention.
And speaking it or writing it, like all of that is very Very intentional.
Yeah. And I feel like in this time when so much is shifting and all of these things that we used to count on, the world is this way and these are the rules and this is how
Mm,
things work. And so much of that is shifting. To be able to articulate an intention, even a small one, is kind of like reclaiming our power and pulling ourselves back into the circle where we can start feeling like we're not just victims of circumstance or
mhm,
have no control over anything that's happening in our lives.
mhm. I love the idea of trust, like how trust is the opposite of resistance, because they say whatever you resist persists. So we don't want to resist, right? So what's the
Yeah.
opposite of that is trust. And when you're co-creating with the universe, you really are setting an intention and trusting that the universe will will fill in the blanks, will bring to you what, like, what's that quote about you heading towards, and that's heading towards you too. There's a quote about that. But yeah, it is quite empowering to live life with intention, because we have no clue how creative and powerful we really are.
hmm Stephen Covey, who wrote the Seven Habits books, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I don't know if this is his idea or if he got it from someone else, but this idea that between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that
Mm,
space is where all your power lies, because in that space, you can choose your intention.
mhm,
So even when life is throwing curveballs at us, I don't have to immediately react. I can go into that space and be intentional about how I want to respond instead of reacting. So even in the small moments, we can let intention come in as a way of empowering ourselves to not just react.
mhm. Or even like the intention of an attitude. Deborah Searle, I'm sure you know who she is because I've mentioned her.
Don't.
She's the lady who sailed across the
Oh, yes,
Atlantic Ocean
okay.
in only a rowboat by herself for 111 days. So she made this journal, like, where you can fill in the blanks and stuff, and it's called the Choose Your Attitude Journal. So that's kind of like setting an intention too, because she has all of these like character qualities or attributes or attitudes you can choose from. So you pick one for the day. So then that's kind of your intention, is to, no matter what comes my way, I will be confident, or whatever it is that you choose, or joyful. And then you really look for that throughout the day. You look for the joy in the little things, or
Yeah. I like that. I like to pull oracle cards in the morning. I have a deck of divine feminine cards. I have another deck of mermaid cards and, several tarot decks. And just the idea of what is it that I most need to be open to this morning, or what is the attitude that will help me be most effective
mm,
today. And it
mhm,
just does, whether you think about it or not from that moment on throughout the day, there's just something maybe that's shifted a little bit in your mind in the way you approach the day, because you've taken that moment to be a little intentional about what do I want to carry forward with me into this day.
mm, that's beautiful. And thinking about abundance instead of like a specific thing or a specific amount of money, or like, I can only be happy when I live on the beach in a mansion, like
Yeah.
those kind of things. If we have abundance as our goal, there's abundance everywhere. And the best things in life, you can't put a price on.
Right.
They're priceless. And so just
Yeah.
looking at abundance, for example, with the job that I want, I'm very open to the universe giving me a different job that's better. But what I see about this job is not just the money. I see that, like, the bosses and the coworkers, just their attitude, and the environment. There's so many details about the job that are abundant, that can
Yeah.
make a person's life richer. Because when you go to like a job that's just nasty with nasty people, and like, it makes it not really worth the money. So like, people think money is all there is, but
Mm.
abundance is where it's at.
Yeah. Well, Tosha Silver talks, she's got a term, the universe as Costco. That that the pitfall with the law of attraction is that we develop this whole list of things that I want this, I want this, I want this.
Hmm.
But really, it's not the things we want, it's the feelings, like you're saying. behind those things. How will I feel when I have those things? Like in the feeding your demons, it's not about what I think I want. It's about the state of being or the emotional experience of what it'll be like to have that.
Mhm.
That's what we want.
And
So,
how will you feel when you get what you
yeah.
need?
So yeah,
Exactly.
the intention is more about how do I want to be in the world? Who do I want to be in the world? And this is a step forward into that.
And there's so many more possibilities if you have like the intention of calm or peace or that sort of a thing, where you can find that versus just like I want this very specific thing. Like it's not
Yeah.
bad to um, have a goal that's very specific, um, and it works for a lot of people. I just find that why not do a specific thing or something better, or just like open it up to, like you said, the feeling behind it. Like ask yourself, why do I even want that? Like can I give that to
Yeah.
myself? A lot of times we can. A lot of
Yeah.
times, or at least in my life, I've expected someone else to give me the things that I think that I need,
Yeah.
not
Well,
realizing that I can give so many of them to myself.
and I think too, when we have the laundry list of things we want, so often you get them and you're still not at that place where you thought you would be when you got
Mhm.
them.
Mhm.
Um, because the intention, whether or not we realize it, isn't really to have all those things. The intention is, there's always something underneath it. When I have these things, people will respect me. People will think I'm successful. Or, so what is the feeling? I want to feel successful. I want to feel like I'm somebody. Right. And like you said, that is something you can give yourself.
Mhm.
It's not the things, it's what
Yeah.
we want to feel or be by having those things. And so just having them is never going to bring that to us.
And the joy is in the journey. Like, and there is those happy chemicals that get released in our bodies when we achieve something we've set out to do. So it's not necessarily about the getting the thing. It's about feeling those feelings and about appreciating the little things along the way.
Yeah, it's so funny. As soon as I signed up for the virtual Camino walk, in the app, you can join a group. And as soon as you join a group, you can see on the map the pictures of the people in your group and where they are on the map. And all of a sudden there's this feeling of I'm doing this with people. And the funds, 75% of the funds for when you sign up are going to help the hostels along the route that are can't host people right now because of COVID and they're suffering. And so, you know, I feel like I'm joining something larger than myself, and I feel like there's companionship, even if I never connect with these people. So that idea of you step into something and all of a sudden you're involved in life and in the universe in a way that just brings this infusion of energy.
And meets those needs that you might not
Yeah,
even have known you had, right?
yeah,
Or brings those feelings about of
yeah,
connecting and travel and all those things.
yeah. I
Hmm.
think what sums it up for me, we talk so much about the heroic journey. And I think we really have, as human beings who are actually spiritual beings in human bodies, we have this compulsion to be on a heroic journey. And when we let our energy stagnate, something within us just says, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't feel like I'm involved in life in the way I want to be. We want to be stepping forward on that hero's journey, taking the next step. And the minute we articulate an intention, that is a next step. And then there will be a next step. And then there will be a next step. So it's that,
Hmm.
as long as we're not moving somewhere, we're stagnating and it doesn't sit well.
Hmm. Just letting go of the right and the wrong of life, the black and the white of life, like allowing yourself to rest when you need to. And I've noticed too, a lot of times, almost the opposite, where, people can be go, go, go all the time. But yet, if they let themselves just take a weekend of like no appointments, where they're just chilling, like they're not really doing anything, binge watching anything, they're just, being, they often get their next step, like.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how we can spin our wheels and spin our wheels and not get anywhere?
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden you go for a little walk or you do something just a little out of your routine. And all of a sudden, boom, inspiration.
Hmm. Yeah, been there. Yeah, I don't know. I really like the permission to be human. I really like that intention helps with that. I feel that intention is such a wide net to cast if you were fishing, um, where it's not so, like if I don't finish all these things on my to-do list, I'm a failure. It's a more of a, like this is what I'm intent this is where I'm going, and I'm well on my way, and no matter how far I get, I will still be successful, like you'll still have those good feelings. Yeah. I love the
Yeah.
power of intention, especially like I said at the beginning of this recording, like when I wake up in the morning to set an intention, like my day is just so much better. I know where I'm going. I'm
Hmm.
not just aimlessly surviving.
Right. And even if something, throws your day in a new direction,
Hmm.
um, at least, you adjust or whatever, but you're mindful about it.
Hmm. Hmm.
I
Well,
have a
so
friend,
often we get distracted and then we can get back on
yeah,
track.
I have a friend who chooses, or at least in the past few years, has chosen a word for the year.
Mm, mhm,
And I think, what was the word? Oh, I'm trying to remember. She had chosen, or equanimity was the word she had chosen a couple years ago. And very early in the year, she suffered a workplace accident, and that word served her well as she went through that whole experience. And that was just a way, or it is a way that she sets an intention for the year. I
mhm.
really like that idea.
Wow. And mantras are similar to that, Different people have different mantras or what's the word? Anchors, just things they
Yeah,
can sort of hold on to.
yeah.
Does anything come to mind as like a quote or an anchor or a mantra that served you well in the past?
In the past.
Or maybe even
Um,
in your cancer journey, like, is there something that you just kind of came back to, even a
I
symbol
did.
or
I had a whole series of affirmations that I wrote out, and
mhm,
I would take that in with me into my chemo treatments, and kind of run that through my mind as I was listening to music.
mhm.
Did lots of visualization. So I had was visualizing a garden that I was growing, this beautiful inner garden, and the chemo was the watering the garden. It was, bringing this wonderful, rich nutrients into the garden, and then the radiation was the sunlight growing the garden.
That's
So yeah,
beautiful.
I
And that is
remember.
an intention, a health
Yeah,
intention.
yeah.
And before any of my hypnotherapy journeys, I get my client to set their own intention, or the guided meditations I did at the yoga studio for people to set their own intention of what they wanted to, I don't know, sort out, process, or something like that. But it's the power
Right.
of intention that really causes the healing, whether it's emotional or physical, to take place.
Yeah, and that is one of the first steps in the feeding your demons process too, is setting that intention of, I'm doing this work on behalf of myself, my loved ones, and the whole community of life. Um,
Hmm.
so that it's something beyond me. I'm doing this to contribute in a larger way
Hmm.
to life.
And
I
yesterday was full moon too, so we could talk a little bit about that. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna, I had a quote here that kind of went along with what we were talking about. This is Deepak Chopra. Intentions compressed into words enfold magical power.
Ooh, perfect,
So,
perfect
yeah,
segue to where I was going with the full
yeah,
moon. Like so many times there's this, well, I've been invited to like full moon ceremonies or just like knowing that, you know, the sisterhood across the world is going to take a bath or whatever, like, and just lighting your candles, having whatever rituals you have and with your cards and just really setting your intention for the next month or whatever it may
mhm,
be. You want to speak a little
yeah.
bit about that?
Mindful living. Well, it's just, yeah, it is a much more empowered way of living. I'm not
Hmm.
just going to simply move along and react to everything that's happening to me. I'm actually going to move forward with intention and with this kind of
Mhm.
a mindset. I often, when I do a tarot reading, will do looking at a situation or something, and I'm not looking for fortune telling. I'm looking more for the intentionality of it. What is the mindset that I need to carry into this situation? What
Mm.
actions will serve me well?
Mhm. Wow. I was thinking of kids playing Minecraft, or when I was a kid, Legos. Like, we went into it with our intention of, I'm building a house, like, I'm building a red house or whatever it was, right? And then along the way, because it's so playful, you can add your this and that. And oh, what if we put a bathroom here? Like, what if we add some
Yeah,
flowers here? But that's a metaphor for life too. When we set our intention to build something or whatever it may be, create anything, paint, whatever, like as you walk out on the way will appear. That's a quote by
yeah.
someone I forget who.
The way appears by walking or something like. I think that's
Was it Rumi or something? The Buddha doodles, they drew something to illustrate as you walk out on the way will appear, and it always stayed with me.
uh,
But it's
yeah, and
kind of like co-creating with the universe with intention too.
I think some of the huge magic and power in that is that a true intention is coming from the heart. It's not just a mental construct. And
Mm,
I think anything that comes with the heart and has the power of love in it is so much more powerful, because reactive living is always fear based. You react to something out of fear. When you carry forward the power of intention out of, you know, a true heartfelt desire, that's more about who do I want to be in the world? Who do I
mm,
feel that I'm here to be? What kind of a presence, what kind of magic do I want to bring into the world?
mm. And the resonance of the heart, like I've seen some drawings, and I'm guessing that science is catching up with what the ancient masters knew, that the resonance of the heart is so much bigger than the resonance of fear. Like
Yeah,
it
well,
really overcomes fear.
and even the Heart Math Institute, which has been studying the power of the heart and the intelligence of the heart for a long time, electromagnetically says that the electromagnetic field of the heart is larger than that of the brain. So really,
Mhm.
we have a greater intelligence residing in the heart
Mhm.
than in our mental processes.
And I'm thinking that's where the genius flows through too, is the heart.
Yeah. When I think of the prayer of Saint Francis, make me an instrument, and I'm
Mm.
a flute player. So I think of the flute and how you blow into it, and it just becomes this channel for air to flow in, and it comes out in this beautiful, magical music. You know, that's an image that I like to hold in my mind for how I'd like to be in the world. And um, when I get into my head and the fear based, I've got to do this perfectly, I have to be good at this, it feels so constrictive. You're just cutting off that flow of air. And when you can, or when I can open myself and just be a channel, that's when the magic starts to happen.
Mhm.
So, articulating an intention that comes from the heart, I think, is just one way to get that air flowing, to get the music playing.
What a beautiful metaphor. Yeah, is there any other quotes that you have to share before we end this, or
Um,
you seem to have a wide spread there.
I had one more on my page. It's from Wayne Dyer. By banishing doubt and trusting your intuitive feelings, you clear a space for the power of intention to flow through.
Perfect. Love it when there's words to what we're thinking or what we're feeling.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, that was quite good. I'm going to be listening to that a couple of different times. I like
Yeah.
listening before I go to bed. Just I don't know, it really just kind of sets a tone and really I think gets me back on track of where I want to be. Like 'cause I
Mm.
want to live from my heart instead of my head.
Yeah. I would love to hear stories from anyone, comments from anyone who listens, would care to comment on how the power of intention has opened the doors for things to happen in their life or brought forward synchronicities, unexpected gifts or things. It'd be so much fun to hear people's stories.
I love stories. That's a
Yeah.
great idea. All
So
right, everyone.
until next time, keep listening to your heart song and let it lead you into the power of intention.
Yes.